music serves as a universal language that connects people on a profound, intangible level. But how do musicians do this? I'm Warren Buchholz, Jazz Brand Manager at WUSF, and I'm on a mission to find out. Meet Al Di Meola. He's a Grammy Award-Winning American jazz, fusion, and Latin jazz guitarist and composer, working as a solo artist on hit albums like Casino and Land of the Midnight Sun, and has performed with Chick Corea's Return to Forever. He recently released a new album, 24, and is currently on tour where he'll be performing at the Nancy and David Bilheimer Capitol Theater in Clearwater on January 17th at 8 p.m. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Al Di Meola.
Hello.
Hi, Al.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm here in my studio.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us about your upcoming show.
Okay, my pleasure.
Awesome. Joining me is our producer, Scott Walkler, who's also a big music fan.
Scott, how are you?
Good, Al. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. You're welcome. Nice to be here.
I always like to start off asking musicians, who inspired you to want to get into this life of creating music?
I would say, as far back, way far back. I don't know, when you see, it could have been Elvis, but definitely the Beatles. That's pretty much going all the way back. And I was like, wow, I got to get a hold of a guitar, And then, my sister was 7 years older, and she had a bunch of friends over when I was about, I would say, 8 years old, 9 years old. And they brought a guitar over. It was a Fender Strat. And, I got a chance to just hear what it and feel what it was like. Playing through a Fender Twin. I didn't play, of course. I just used my thumb on my left hand to fret the.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I played was "You Really Got Me" with my thumb. It was love at first touch, and then the Beatles were. I saw I was one of those that saw them live on Ed Sullivan, and then lessons followed after that. With a jazz teacher, not by my choice, but he just happened to be an old school jazz guy. And, I got the best of both worlds, in terms of, growing up outside New York City and getting to go into the city and see a lot of great shows at Fillmore East. And it's just good timing for everything.
Yeah.
And
Actually,
the 60s were amazing,
I can only imagine.
No, nothing compares.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up the Beatles, and I know doing some research, I saw that one of your more recent releases was this Across the Universe album that you put out, which is due to the Beatles. Can you talk a little bit about what, after all these years, what made you go back to your your big influence like that to do it? And also, I noticed that the cover. Did you actually go to Hamburg and recreate John Lennon's photo?
Yeah.
Very cool.
It just so happens also the record company is in Hamburg.
Okay.
And that was the doorway where he, Lennon stood. And, I got to tour that whole area. There's 3 different clubs that they played on that street, which was on the other side of that building, where I was standing. And, I had it in the back of my mind to do something with the Beatles work way prior to that particular record. And there was a summer in Europe where we were touring, and we had some days off. and the band members all lived in countries surrounding the area where we had the days off. So one went back to Italy, then a couple went to Hungary, and so I was in my hotel room in Prague thinking this could be a good time to utilize the 3 or 4 days off. So uh, eventually wound up uh, asking a friend in London if Abbey Road was still open, and he checked it out. I said, "Yeah, they're almost fully booked. They have one day open next week." I said, "Well, just book it. I'm flying over." And that turned into one of the greatest experiences of recording. Uh, Totally inspiring. Oh my God! Right in the same room, in the same equipment, and almost the same equipment, but the history there alone was just so inspiring, and the way that I recorded it, the first record, because I did two tributes. The first one was at Abbey Road. Um, was just to do it acoustically with and try to avoid temptation to overdub a lot of other instruments. And I think that kind of made it special in a sense. But then I did have other songs that I wish I had done. So some years later, I in my own studio I started to record those other pieces that I wanted to do, like Strawberry Fields and all the other ones that appear on the record, Norwegian Wood, and and just kind of expand them as if like the Beatles were an instrumental band. There's no way they could have had 2 to 3 minute songs if they were instrumental. So I just kind of extended instrumentally what I thought would add to it. Of course, I couldn't take any writing credit at all when I didn't want any. But I just wanted to play with it, and it's with my own studio. You could do everything, which I did. I played the bass. In fact, I found a Rickenbacker bass, exactly what Paul used on those later recordings, and I got that same sound, and I played some drums. I played the keyboards. It was just like a fun thing to do.
Nice.
You perform with so many different musicians. What does
Yeah.
collaboration look like for you?
Well, on stage, I mean, we're about to do these shows in Florida,
Yeah, yeah.
one in Orlando, of course, coming right up. Um, and I'll have this other guitarist who's from Italy, and he's also uh, a fan of my music and also of the Beatles, and so we throw a couple of Beatle pieces into the set, and
Mhm.
also a couple of Piazzolla, and then the rest of it is kind of mid-period compositions of my own, right up to current time,
Okay.
and yeah. It's,
Before,
it's it's my favorite thing to do, by the way. I know I have an electric band with completely different format, different musicians, but this aesthetically is the most pleasing for me by far.
before we get into your show at the Capitol Theater on January 17th at 8 p.m., I was looking over your website and I came across these house events that you do where you bring people in and you cook for them. Yeah, can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, it's something that started as uh, almost in a. It was I was just joking, and basically when my wife was filming me cooking on a live stream, and it was a summer day in the year 2000 of 2020, I guess it was the COVID year, and so everyone was home, and then these friends came over in the backyard, and still no hardly anyone was working, and I just said I'm going to cook them something that's going to blow them away. It was this Italian dish that I was making, like a Neapolitan uh, uh, recipe of mine, and I said, you know. I had a couple glasses of wine, and I said, go live stream. So I look back at the phone, and I said, and if you guys want to ever come here, I'll cook for you in person. I was only kidding. So we read the comments after, and you'd be surprised. There was just so many people wondering if I was like, honest about that. And I said to my wife, I said, you know what? I think we just came up with a great idea. Imagine we invite no more than two people, and we do this like very elaborate gourmet three-course meal, starting with all of these Italian hors d'oeuvres, and I cook the first course. They watch me, and they, and the whole time they can ask whatever question, and we converse, and I I just imagine that being far more rewarding than me being one of the thousands of musicians that were offering lessons online, which I thought was really not cool and not original at all. I didn't want to do that. I don't like teaching online. I prefer in person if I have to do it. But this was really an original thought. So we looked at one another and said, wow, this could be cool. And then after like a 3 hour dinner, we can go down into my studio, and I could play like a private show and offer a lesson after that, or jam, and we make it into something. So we came up with three different packages that people had a choice of just the dinner, or the dinner plus the show, or I don't know if you should call it a show or recital or whatever. And then but they get to see my house, which is like a museum, a collection of all of the things that I've acquired over my life, guitar wise, and whatever. And then yeah, and then the third package was dinner, the recital, and then a guitar, an autographed guitar.
Oh, wow.
And most people took that package and the middle package. No one ever came just for dinner. They just want to show. Yeah, and it was something that I think that was highly original, and we were really proud of it. Something my wife and I could do together. I couldn't do it without her. She couldn't do it without me. And really, the first one we got was I was really nervous we weren't going to get any. I said, "Man, people are just not going to want to travel for whatever reason, or pay the money, or whatever it might be. They might think that it's kind of crazy, and not do it at all." But we wound up getting, well, to this point, because we stopped doing it after a while, but then we started up again. We've done about 65 of them, and we do it now also in Capri. We have a home in Capri in the summer, so that's already booked solid for next summer, which is next August. So it's turned into a little almost as good as the touring, maybe better.
And you get good food.
Yeah, and you get great food.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But think about it. I put myself in the position of a fan that's been following for decades, that may have acquired money that they've saved for some kind of special event. Well, this is it, and I put myself in the position of like if one of my heroes was offering that, man, I'd be like, wow, that'd be cool. I would love to do something like that.
it's so interpersonal and intimate as well. You're
Yeah.
right. It is very original. You don't really see any persons of note do these kinds of things.
No, no, I mean, they could do it, but you have to have the other half being, my wife sets it all up. She's, without her, I couldn't do it. So whoever, I thought there would be other artists that would follow suit, and I haven't found one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one. So, they probably thought about it, and then they thought about, people they don't know coming into their homes. Uh, or the wife is not into the idea, or who knows what it is. But we love it. We have not had a bad experience at all. We've had only like really interesting people, very well-to-do people in their respective professions, whatever they may have been. Very few guitar players, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
It sounds like a very cool experience. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. The Tiny Desk contest is coming back. Unsigned musicians enter the contest by sending at NPR Music a video of you playing one original song between January 13th and February 9th. If you win, you'll play your very own Tiny Desk concert. Learn more at npr.org/Tiny Desk Contest. And make sure you tune into Tiny Desk Radio Friday nights at 9 and Saturday nights at 8 on WUSF 89.7, your spot for local. So let's turn now to your show at the Capitol Theater on January 17th at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of tell me more about what to expect from this show?
Well, it's going to be, for me, it's the most aesthetically pleasing assembly of compositions that I could do. It for me, I was also doing the electric thing, which is my early music, but this is more of the music that has evolved over many years, and the compositions are, for me as a player, far more interesting. And so I have another guitarist from Sardinia who plays the second guitar parts, and I have two percussionists, one from Spain who is comes from the flamenco school of percussion, and then I have like the leading Indian tabla player of the day, Amit Kavlikar, and the other percussionist's name is Sergio Martinez, and Peo Alfonsi is the other guitarist. They might not be well known, but they're incredible. And this music is just it's kind of mid-period music up until my recent album. And as a player, it's just, I love these pieces. And then we throw in a couple of Beatles pieces and a couple of Piazzolla, who, they will always remain in my set somehow, you know.
Are there any messages or feelings that you want audiences to resonate with during this concert?
Well, I think that, it's music that is, hopefully it get, they'll feel the emotion in the music. That's what the main thing. And then, you know, uh, they're getting, they're getting to see where I have evolved as a player, as opposed to the fastest gun, and that that kind of title that I had in the very beginning. It's doesn't interest me in the least bit, because it's really it's the composer guitarist, not the guitarist composer, that you're coming to see, you know. So, I mean, I turn on my phone every day. There's another little kid that's playing like 5 million miles an hour, but there's no music behind it,
Yeah.
So the even early on in my career, I mean, I come from a composition band. Return to Forever was, even though technical velocity was a big aspect uh, at that time. The beginning of the fusion era. The compositions were equally as important, and players that we love from that era. You not only think of how well they played, you also think of the names of the records at the same time. I don't get that with young players today. Young players today, I think of only what they play,
Yeah.
because and it's not their fault totally. Uh, I mean, some of them haven't yet developed as composers at all, and it's all about the licks. But the other thing is, there are no record stores and there are no record companies to support these young artists to put those records into stores that once were. You know what I mean? So they'll never get the glory of, walking into a store and seeing the records in a bin. That was my favorite part of that era.
Yeah, there's nothing like going into a record store you don't know and just digging into a
Yeah.
bin and just randomly finding things. That's a feeling you definitely don't get these days.
I almost cried going into a record store in Santa Cruz, California. I mean, it was an old school store. I mean, mom and pop store. And I hadn't been in one in years and years and years. Uh, and it was just going through the bins. It was, oh man, it brings back the youth, it brings back
Yeah.
that great time when I would every day after school hang out in the record store in my town every day, wait for, the next record to come in from The Who or whoever it was. Yeah.
And this was also the places where you got concert tickets and bought merch. So it was like a community hub for musicians and
Yeah.
music lovers.
Yeah. I would, every day look in the Village Voice, which was, a free newspaper and see who's coming into New York, and there was always a choice of 1,000 different bands and places and things coming up, and it was an exciting time, and it all shaped my style and my career.
Mm. Do you have a favorite song from your new concert?
Yeah, I do actually. I really really love this piece that I've never played live. It's from a record that came out, and I gotta think it must have been about, I don't know, when the hell was it? Early 90s, maybe 91. It's called The Infinite Desire. And there's a piece on there called Vicini with a V. It's named after a painter, like from Sicily, who has his art showcased in a gallery in Venice. And back as long as the early 80s, I had acquired some of his work and became friends with him. And, I have his paintings hanging up all over the place. But they, paintings like that or movies that I love with great actors like De Niro or something, it depends on which one, of course. But they're inspiring to my writing, you know. So I named this song after him. And I'll be honest with you, I never thought I could play it live because it's hard. It's wonderful. I mean, I didn't write it to be hard. It's just to get the other players to play it well, took some doing. So I said I was almost embarrassed to send it to my other guitarist because I knew he was going to go, "Oh my God, you can't expect me to play this." And so I go, "You're not mad?" The first thing I said to him, "You're not mad at me? I sent this, are you?" He goes, "No, no, gotta play this." I said, "Really?" I was surprised that he really wanted to play it. He loved it that much. So it's part of the set now, and it's meaty. It's a lot. There's a lot to it, And then I since he liked that one, I brought in Azura, which is from the same record. And Azura is one that I originally wrote for John and Paco for the guitar trio. So now we're doing it as in this particular acoustic ensemble. And yeah, that's another one. Uh, so yeah, there's a bunch in this particular set that are very meaty and they're like cool stories within a noted instrumental context.
That is definitely the great thing about music is the storytelling aspect that comes along with it. And That seems
It could speak deeper than words if it's, that's the magic of some of this music, uh, it'll never reach the popularity level of vocal music like the Beatles or Elton John and things of that nature, you know, but we almost have to go deeper, and we could do more things, let's say instrumentally. Um,
yeah. Well, Capitol Theater, January 17th. I'm really excited to see you perform live that evening. You've been to Clearwater before?
yes, we've played quite a few times, same theater, and it's wonderful. Uh, this time we're going to have also a back screen video uh, that is that kind of conforms with each song,
Okay.
which is a big part of. I think it's a really nice addition to the show.
What has it been like working with that kind of tech behind you?
Phenomenal. It's I don't get to see it while I'm playing, so I get to see just some video people are taking in the show, and then I'll see it later. But my wife has done all of it, and it's pretty brilliant. A lot of it's great. Some of it brings back memories. There's some uh, footage of musicians that I played with, and then there's just some really graphic, beautiful visuals. um, some of it's in 3D, some of it could not be in 3D, but it's really really cool. You know, like for instance, we played this piece called Turquoise, which kind of like a nod to my experience playing in Turkey. And every year they have that balloon festival. All these colored balloons that you get in. I forget the name of it. There's a name for it, but it's a big balloon event in Turkey.
Yeah.
And so we have visuals of that behind us when we're playing. It's kind of cool rather than a curtain.
Kind of adds a performance art feel
Yeah,
to what you're doing.
yeah, it is. It's more of a multimedia kind of show.
Very cool. Scott, do you have anything?
Um, just a kind of a question about people you've performed with, I guess. My introduction to your music was from the Friday Night in San Francisco album.
Yeah,
I think I might have had the vinyl, the tape, and eventually the CD at some point. Any chance you and John McLaughlin will work together again anytime soon?
it's he's 84. I'm not sure if that's something he that would happen. It kind of be more of like a tribute to Paco if we got back together
Sure.
for something like that. The chances are low, but you never know. We only started talking again when I was putting together the Saturday night in San Francisco. Because I don't know if I told the story, but during COVID I discovered we had another night in San Francisco with other songs that I happened to have the 2-inch reel tapes in my basement. So we had them restored at Skywalker Studios, and the sound was great. It brought back all of that excitement, and yeah. So we started talking then, and he even forgot he totally forgot we played a Saturday night in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but we were also talking because we were both you know pretty worried about the future with this COVID thing going around at that time. So uh, I
Yeah.
haven't. I just wished him a happy birthday recently, but I don't think he's into this touring thing at his age at this point. That's what I kind of sense, and I don't want to push it.
Sure. Understood.
I'm 12 years younger, and I feel like I'm pushing it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, I Excited to see you at Capitol Theater. And then you also came out with a new album a couple years ago, 24.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah.
It was completed in 2024. So they kind of used that uh, for the title. That was kind of the record company decision. But I started writing during 2020, during the COVID thing, as a means to get away from the news. And it was kind of a therapeutic thing for me to do because of all the worrying. And then it just snowballed. It's just I just kept writing and writing and writing. Whatever came out of my head, I just wrote it down. So there's a lot of the record is just immediate thoughts that I put down. A lot of it I was very inspired too at the same time. I don't know why, but I was. And I did a lot of late night writing. It just turned into what was supposed to be a solo single album. It turned into more of a production double record worth of music. And it's, look, I think I've evolved as a writer, and it shows in this new record. And it's just another step forward, big step, because of having all of that time focused rather than a period in which I'm constantly doing, runs to the airport and touring and then coming back and try to pick up from where I left off. This was a total solid, almost 2 to 3 years of focus. And I've never had that ever. It was always like write and run. So this was actually it felt great. I mean, I even got to go out on my property and like plant seeds in the lawn and like visit places. I have fix things in the house. It was like an amazing period of time. Yeah.
It's so cinematic and it's a beautiful album. I mean, I love Ava's dance in the moonlight.
That was, and there's a story, she came down to say goodnight. She's all of about 4 years old, I don't know. And 4 or 5, and she had just seen the Nutcracker Suite, which is beautiful music of Tchaikovsky. And she was kind of attempting to do a little ballerina thing. And I just immediately started playing that ostinato in 5/4, not having it written at all. It just came into my head. And then I started singing against it. I was singing the melody against it and just adding words to sing to her as she was in front of me. And I said, this is kind of cool. She went to bed and I said, you know what? I'm going to write this out. And then one thing led to another, and it turned into a kind of a big production. And in fact, at the end of the recording, my friend, co-producer, Renan, he said, man, what you got to do now, we got to put a real symphony on this. I go, what? Oh my God. And he said, no, trust me. I said, okay, I'm going to try to hook this up. So I flew over to Italy and I got together this chamber. It was more like a chamber orchestra. And, it definitely added, a few layers of depth,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking half an hour with us to
My
talk about
pleasure.
your show and your albums. I'm really excited for the show, so I can't wait for next week.
Thank you, man. Thanks for coming. And thanks for the program. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
You too.
Take care.
All the best. Bye-bye now.
Yes. Bye-bye. Today's audio was recorded over Zoom, edited by Scott Walkler. I'm Warren Buchholz, host. Studio Sessions is a product of WUSF and is sponsored by Community Foundation Tampa Bay, the Gobioff Foundation, with support from the Palladium and from you. Thank you for your support. Learn more about jazz and arts access Florida by visiting our website at wusfjazz.org. Copyright 2026, WUSF.